Hey, I'm Dan, and this is Dan's Planes. Here's an update. I ordered a couple rolls of Monocoat, figuring this may not be my only fix. Plus, there's a whole new one in the box that I'm undecided if I'll keep or not. So I've gone through, and anywhere there was just cracking, I went ahead and glued that. I removed Monocoat here so I could really get into this crack here. I was able to finagle this piece back in. It was not damaged. Thankfully, it broke out of the two side ribs and without really doing any damage, so I finagled that back in. I've not glued it yet. The other side, that piece is broken and beyond repair to have any structural integrity, so I'm going to have to remake it completely. So that means I may have to trace the outlines of this piece, which if I would have been thinking a step ahead, I wouldn't have put it in yet, because it was tough getting it in, because there's a slot in this rib here that this piece matches into, then also on this rib. So trying to get those two slots matched up, and the corner pieces in here, corner piece in there. So I had to bend this rib out quite a bit to be able to get it to work. I figured somehow it came out, so I must be able to put it back in. So maybe I'll be able to trace it in here, but I think it might be kind of difficult because the rib here is raised up almost a finger depth. So we'll see. Otherwise, I could glue this in, do all the gluing, glue this piece back in, do gluing there. I need to roll back this Monocoat, or just remove it. I'm kind of on the fence with the Monocoat because I have a feeling that I'm still going to be skinning my knees on this. So on one hand, I want to do it right and make it look nice, but then on the other hand, I don't want to spend too much time on it making it look nice just to crack it up a week later, just like I did. So would I rather get in the air and have a plane that doesn't look as nice, but get in the air sooner, or do I want to, take more time and do it the right way? And then of course, the one time that you rush it and then it doesn't look nice is the time that you're not going to crack it up anymore. So then you've got an airplane that looks kind of crappy. So all that was to say, I could either glue this and leave the current Monocoat and heat it back on again, just like I did over on this edge, where you would still end up seeing the crack, and you would see the glue that wicks in, and the glue is going to glue down the Monocoat. So you're definitely going to have a crack you can see, but it's on the bottom, so is anybody really going to see it? They're not going to really see something that small when you're flying in the air, and when it's on the ground, nobody's going to see it. So, who cares? But, I care. I'm a recovering perfectionist, and I'm not there yet, and I'd like to keep my planes in the best order that I can, so I don't have little gremlins going on all the time, or at least have fewer of them. So I was all proud of myself. The fix that I did here, which had broken previously, I thought that it didn't break because my gussets seemed to have held, but the gussets held, but it still broke along this edge here. So still kind of proud, but it didn't last perfectly. This wing is going to be the challenge, getting glue into the ribs in there that have cracked. and reinforcing this built-up rib section, reinforcing this rib section. That's going to be pretty easy, and this isn't so bad. So we're just about done with 2/3 of it. I also, when I removed the monocoat here, I just used paper towels and acetone, getting rid of as much of the old monocoat debris as I could. It'll stay stained, but it feels like it's dry wood, so I think it'll be good for new monocoat to adhere to. So those are all the updates for now. I'll post other updates later. Okay, here's another update. So coming in to the end of the road for this side. So I got all the cracks CA'd. I CA'd all of this. I did thin first to try to get into the thinnest parts, let it wick in. Then I used medium on it. I put in some sheeting that had been broken out and filled all this in. So I found over here there was a crack here, so got that glued. Just need to put that monocoat back down. What I need to do on this is underneath, I'll turn the wing in different directions, but along the bottom here, this tray that I had CA'd in there, I don't trust just CA, so I'm going to do some high sol and put that all around all three edges on the inside and let that cure up. I also looked a little more into this side, and I looked to see if I could spread the wing this way, and I could, which told me it wasn't just this that was broken, but there's also breakage there. So I removed the servo hatch, and you can see that's cracked actually in 2 spots. And then looking at the front there's even a bigger crack in there. Light in there. There we go. Which goes all the way up into here. So that's a lot of damage. It's still definitely fixable, but I need a way that I can high sol those together and clamp it. And I don't know that a clamp could get in there now. So I'm debating on how much of this sheeting I might need to pull off to, number one, examine it some more, and number two, to actually do the repairs. But yeah, this wheel took a lot of force. That's no joke. So I think what I'm going to do, I don't really want to fix this outside part until I get this bigger part taken care of, because I don't want to fix this only to find out I have to remove sheeting and find other issues. So I think what I'm going to do is do my balsa filler in here, let that dry, sand it down so it's all ready for monocoat. I could go ahead and monocoat it and put everything all back together in here. Well, before I put everything back together, I'm going to do the glue underneath, the high sol underneath for sure. So I think that's the plan, and this I'm still kind of chewing on mentally to decide what I want to do, because I definitely want to make sure that this thing is strong enough to withstand the G's that I'll be putting on it, because I do plan to run the 2015 or 2016 prop on it which the seller said made this airplane 125 mile an hour plus airplane. So last thing I want to do is have a weak wing and have it explode in the air and tank the whole aircraft. I already had that happen once with a Corsair earlier this year from someone I bought it from, and I don't know if he built it or if he bought it from someone else, but either way, they didn't adhere the wing joiner pieces, so the wing just snapped right off when I was doing maneuvers. Made for some epic video, but frustrating to get 3.5 minutes flight out of something and lose the money and the time spent. So we'll see, but I can foresee in the future this is going to have a lot more sheeting taken off just to make sure I can get in there. I'll be back with more updates later. And here's another update. So I put the wood filler on the other side and sanded it, and I was thinking I probably should have waited on that until I was done really with the hard stuff, because moving the wing around, there's a good chance I could be denting the wood or the wood filler even more. So it's probably better to do that as a final step instead of trying to complete sections of the wing. I don't know. But anyway, what I found is, as I was looking down my ribs, I saw that all of these are cracked. Even down to here, I noticed this is cracked, which I hadn't noticed before. So that led me to decide to remove all the sheeting on one side at least, so I can get in there and fix what I need to fix, and then hopefully I can reuse some of the sheeting. I'm trying to be really careful with it. Of course, trying to get it off of the ribs is a challenge. What I did is I used a number 11 blade to find where the rib was at. So I would do a number 11 into here, number 11 into there. Then I'd be able to see my 2 points to form a line with the metal straight edge, and then I could use my other saw, this saw, to cut as straight a line as possible. So if I were to then put the sheeting back in, there's going to be a gap there. So what I can do is put some bracing in there on the ends, and then of course the parts that pulled up with ribs here, I'm going to be able to reuse that and glue that. So what I've done on this back piece, I again used the number 11 to go up to where the ribs were. Again, drew a line, did that on these corners as well. These corners, it was a little harder to tell. Feels like there's a balsa block in here, and I don't know the construction of these. Here I had a Top Flight P-47 kit in my garage for months that I was selling for the club. If only I would have looked at that or taken some pictures of the plans or something, maybe they would have had a similar design. But it was a smaller scale anyway, the 60 size, so it wasn't the giant scale, so I don't know how much change there would be. So I went through again, cutting with this saw, using, I think this is probably about a 1/2 inch or 5/8 trailing edge along here as my guide, keeping it as straight as possible. Then I went to one end. This end here popped up a bit because I had released it from connecting to this rib. So I used this to get in under it, to slide it in to where I would take this tip corner and go along the back here like this, and I would also put it like this and slowly, ever so slowly, pry it, so hopefully the adhesive would break rather than the wood breaking. And I've done that down to here so far. I also found, you know, this rib here had broken off, so again, going to be fixing that. But I think removing the sheeting is definitely the right thing to do major surgery on this thing, because it's just got so much damage in here that needs to be fixed for sure. And with the G's that I'm going to be putting on it, I don't want to take any chances of trashing the entire model just because I wanted to do a quick job. So I noticed that this was cracked after I had already started removing this sheeting, so I could have in reality removed this sheeting too. So I think the back of the rib is fine as far as back here, because those aren't the ones that were cracked. It was all these leading edge ones because of that twist to the wing that happened when the airplane got caught on this wheel and then spun around. It's a lot of weight to be spinning around. I mean, these wings were 8 pounds 1 ounce just by themselves, let alone having the fuselage on there with the engine. So I can get to the front of this rib here to fix that. I can get to the front of this rib here to fix that. So I don't really need to get into this back part, and these back parts are fine. So I'm just going to continue ever so slowly going along here. If I come up to a rib where it's not just popping off, then again I'm going to slide this in and use just the corner of it to keep going along the rib, along that curved edge. Just slowly keep going along it, and then going back and applying that small amounts of pressure, trying not to break it. So we'll see. Balsa is expensive, and there's a lot of it on this sheeting. I don't know if I have enough to replace all of it. It'll depend on how much I'm able to save. All right, so more updates coming later. And here's another update. So I was able to remove the sheeting in one piece in the back here, thankfully. So hopefully reuse that. So every front rib has cracks in it that I'm gonna have to repair, obviously. Hey, quit rubbing on my airplane. You're knocking stuff off. Come on. Then we've got cracked back ribs. We've got unattached ribs. I'm guessing because the adhesive aged. Then we've got the internal webbing cracked, and then webbing missing, and webbing cracked and missing over here. Here's a big chunk of it. Reason why I couldn't get my wing flat was because of this rib being stuck up there. All those ribs are cracked. Thankfully, this main rib is not cracked, at least not that I can see. I can see the back part, but I can't see the front part. I do think it's okay though, because this broke up to that point. Yep, my work is cut out for me. So next step is going through and gluing and clamping, waiting for it to dry. And after I glue and clamp the ribs, for example, I'm going to use thin so it wicks in there. I'm still going to put some spare balsa here with the grain going up and down for added protection, and the balsa allowing it to twist a little bit more. On this one here, I'm probably going to use plywood. It's got multiple cracks in it, and there was a lot of it removed here that's broken off. Got to get this put back in, but I need to make a new tray. Where did I put it? So I went ahead and glued the tray back together. Not that I'm going to use this one again because it was, I think, too damaged and wouldn't handle much stress, but I can use this now as a template. So that's going to help. Most of this hardwood block, oops, goes this way, was removed anyway. Which is too bad, because that's where a lot of that support would come from. Alright, more updates later. Here we are with another update. So I've gone through every rib and glued with thin or medium CA to fix any cracks that happened, and then I put in cross sheeting, make it stronger. So almost every rib had some kind of issues to it. This thicker main rib here, I did ply on this side, or it was cracked in two areas, plus ply here. I did ply on this side, ply there. Now, as far as this part goes, now we're ready for some high sol work. There's a break here, and this rib is not connected to this, and this needs some adhesive. This is broken here, and it's broken here, but the pieces fit well back together. So I think I'm just going to high sol these and add bracing gussets on both sides of this one. I've put in triangle stock here. This is all dry fit, but all of this I'll do with high sol. So triangle stock there, triangle stock here. Going to, of course, do adhesive along there. Triangle stock here, triangle stock there. I've already got these gussets in here. So once I get the high sol in, then finish the webbing in here and the webbing in here. And I think that would about do it. Need to fix this, put a little bit of stock in here, and just sand it to round. So then I think it'll be ready to work on the retract retention tray, getting that built, getting that installed. Then I think I'd like to put the retracts in first, try to work out my air leaks before I do the sheeting, just because it's a little bit easier to get to. And there was no extra on this here. I may even have to replace it because, I mean, well, I guess it did have a little bit extra. It's just getting caught here. Got a little more than I thought I had. But somewhere there air leaks because I pump it to 105 psi, and if I let it sit 20-25 minutes, then if on a good day it'll be down to 80 psi, but I've had it go down into the 60s, so something's happening. But I'm glad we got basically all of this and all of this done. So now it's this section here, which is a critical section, so have to make sure that these are reinforced. I'm going to throw some triangle stock in here too, and then going to have to remake this rib. Part of it got pulled out when the sheeting got pulled, but part of it I think has just been missing. There just wasn't a whole lot there to begin with. So, get that fixed. She's coming along. I'll give other updates later. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Dan from Dan's Planes. I just want to share some content about RC planes, something I've been passionate about since childhood. I'm hoping I can teach something to someone, I can start some discussion and learn some things from others. So let's just have some fun and learn some things together. If you enjoyed what you watched, it would really help me out if you could like, subscribe, and share. And if you feel that it helped you out in some way, or it might help future viewers, I'd really appreciate it if you'd visit my Patreon page and become a patron. It's like throwing a $1 tip into a guitar case when you pass by. It helps to fund future content and future projects that I'll be working on. I plan to show some past content. I have some other flights and I have some fly-in events that I've been to. And I also plan to show future flights and future repairs, as well as building ARFs, and if I can ever get back to it, building my top flight Spitfire. So there's a lot of content to come, but it's viewers like you that are able to support what I'm doing, and by doing that, I'm able to spend more time creating that content in the future. So I'd really appreciate it. But either way, thanks for watching, and thanks for any support, and I wish you blue skies and good speed.